Good morning. Welcome back to online classes of Seedcast. Today we are going through the last chapter in Module 2. The chapter is Slata the God, written by Isaac Bashevis Singer. Let's begin with the Isaac Bashevis Singer. Isaac Bashevis Singer, Yiddish in full Yitzhak Bashevis Singer, was born on July 14, 1904 in Warsaw and named Isaac her Singer. He took a form of his mother's name Bathsheba, later as his pen name Bashevis. Singer was a Polish-born American writer of novels, short stories and essays in Yiddish. He was the recipient in 1978 of the Nobel Prize for Literature. His fiction depicting Jewish life in Poland and the United States is remarkable for its rich blending of irony, wit and wisdom. Singer's father was a Hasidic rabbi, a spiritual mentor and confessor of the Hasid school of piety. Hasidic means member of Jewish sector. His father was a person who is trained to make decision about what is lawful in Judaism to perform Jewish ceremonies. His mother also came from a family of rabbis. He received a traditional Jewish education at the Warsaw Rabbinical Seminary. His older brother was the novelist I.J. Singer and his sister the writer Esther Kreitman. Like his brother, Singer preferred being a writer to being a rabbi. He married Runia Pons, but during the turbulent 30s, he migrated to New York City and got separated from his wife and son Israel Zamir when they were forced to move to Russia and then to Palestine. In 1940, he married a German Jewish refugee, Alma Wassermann Heimann. Singer began his writing career as a journalist in Warsaw in the years between the wars. In 1925, he made his debut with the story In Old Age, which he published in the Warsaw Literature Blätter under a pseudonym. His first novel, Satan in Gore, was published in installments in Poland shortly before he immigrated to the United States in 1935. He also translated many books into Yiddish from Hebrew, Polish, and particularly German. Among them works by Thomas Mann and Erich Maria Remarque. In 1943, he became a US citizen. Singer's earliest fictional works, however, were not big novels, but short stories and novellas, a genre in which he has perhaps given his very best as a consummate storyteller and stylist. Although Singer's works became most widely known in their English versions, he continued to write almost exclusively in Yiddish, personally supervising the translations. The relationship between his works in these two languages is complex. Some of his novels and short stories were published in Yiddish in the forewords, for which he wrote until his death, and then appeared in book form only in English translation. Several, however, later also appeared in book form in the original Yiddish after the success of the English translation. Among his most important novels are The Family Musket. It was published in 1950. The Magician of Lublin. It was published in 1960. The Slave was published in 1962. The Manor, it was published in 1967, and The Estate was published in 1969. The Manor and the Estate are based on Der Häuf, serialized in the forwards in 1953 to 1955. Enemies, a love story, was translated from Sonim die Geschichte von Elibe, serialized in the forwards in 1966. Shosha, derived from autobiographical material, Singer published in the forwards in the mid-1970s, appeared in English in 1978. Shadows on the Hudson, translated into English and published posthumously in 1998, is a novel on grand scale about Jewish refugees in New York in the late 1940s. The book had been serialized in the forwards in the 1950s. Singer's popular collections of short stories in English translation include Gimbel the Fool and Other Stories. It was published in 1957. The Spinoza of Market Street, published in 1961. Short Friday, published in 1964. The Seance, published in 1968. A Crown of Feathers, published in 1973. National Book Award, Old Love, and The Image, and Other Stories. These are his very famous short stories. Several films have been adapted from Singer's works, including The Magician of Lublin, based on his novel of the same name, and Yentl, based on his story, Stories from Behind the Stove. I think now all of you are very familiar with Isaac Bashevis Singer. I already told you, Singer's works often portray traditional Jewish life in Poland and the US and the loneliness of old age. Now we are going through his very famous and simple short story, Slata the God. Slata the God is a short story by Isaac Bashevis Singer. The story was included in his collection of short stories, Slata the God and Other Stories. It was published in 1966. Slata the God, like most of Singer's stories, was written in Yiddish and translated into English. The story takes place just before Hanukkah, a Jewish holiday, and is set in a rural Jewish village somewhere in Eastern Europe. Hanukkah is a Jewish festival of lights which lasts 8 days in December and celebrates the recapture of the Temple of Jerusalem by Judas Maccabeus in 164 BCE and the miracle of 1 day's oil lasting for 8 days when the eternal light was relit. It is also known as Chanukah. It tells the story of a bond between a boy, Aaron, and a god, Slata, who find comfort in each other during an unexpected event. The story was adopted as a short film of the same name in 1973 by Western Woods Studios director Gene Dye. Now we are going through the character list of the story. I want to introduce the protagonist of the story. He is Aaron. Aaron is Reuven's oldest son and the protagonist of the story. Protagonist means he is the main hero of the story. At 12 years old, he is entrusted by the family to take Slatta to the town to sell. When the weather takes a turn for the worse, he digs a hole in a haystack so that he and Slatta can survive. After 3 days in the haystack, he forms a deep bond with Slatta and decides he cannot sell her. Next character is Slatta. Slatta is an old god owned by a Jewish family in a rural village. She is a beloved god even though she cannot produce milk anymore. When the family falls upon hard times, they reluctantly decide to sell her, and she follows patiently and obediently. She keeps Aaron alive throughout the storm with her milk and warmth, and is portrayed in the story as wise, patient, and loving. Next character is Reuven. Reuven is the village warrior. He has a wife and 3 young children. When Hanukkah comes one mild winter, he reluctantly decides to sell Slatta to be able to provide holiday cheer for his family. Next character is Feivel. Feivel is the town butcher who offers to buy Slatta. Readers never meet this character as Aaron and Slatta never make it to the town. Next character is Leah. Leah is Aaron's mother and Reuven's wife. She is portrayed as loving towards her family and towards Slatta. Next characters are Anna and Miriam. They are Aaron's younger sisters who also love Slatta. Aaron frequently thanks God and prays to God throughout his time in the snowstorm, suggesting God's presence in the story. We can also see the peasant and neighbors in this story. Let's begin the story. The story begins in a rural area during Hanukkah, the Jewish festival of lights which takes place around December every year. Usually at that time of the year, there would be snow blanketing the roads between the village and the town. But this year, it was sunny and there was barely any snow. The peasants complained about the warm weather, knowing that it would result in a poor grain harvest. Reuven, the furrier, has been negatively affected by the warm weather too. Not as many people need his fur coats. He needs money for Hanukkah candles, gifts, and food. So he decides to sell the beloved family god Slatta. She was old and the town butcher Feivel was offering 8 gulden for her. Gulden means coins used in European countries. Reuven instructed his oldest son Aaron to take the god to town. Aaron's mother Leah, as well as his 2 sisters Anna and Miriam, were devastated. Leah, his mother, wiped the tears from her eyes, and Aaron's younger sisters Anna and Miriam cried loudly. Aaron was sad too, but he put on his coat and his ear muffs, tied a rope around Slatta's neck, and packed bread and cheese for the journey. The family all said goodbye to Slatta, who stood patiently. She trusted human beings. She knew that they always fed her and never did her any harm. She couldn't understand that her family was going to give her to a butcher for 8 gulden. But when Aaron and Slata set out on the road to the town, she was shocked. It was her first time traversing that road, and she looked to Aaron for answers. But after a while, she stopped wondering. They passed new fields, pastures, and huts with thatched roofs. Here and there, a dog barked and came running after them. But Aaron chased it away with his stick. Aaron was a village boy, so he knew it well how to handle the situation. By using the stick, he handled the dog very easily. As Aaron and Slata continued on the unfamiliar road, the weather began to change. A big cloud appeared and a cold wind blew. Crows flew by low to the ground. It began to hail and the sky turned black as the hail eventually turned to snow. Aaron had never experienced snow so thick and dense. It covered their path completely and blinded Aaron to his surroundings. At first, Slata didn't mind, but as the snow fell harder and piled up faster, she began to turn again to Aaron, looking questioningly at him. Aaron hoped for a passing cart to offer them a lift, but none came. As the snow continued to fall thickly, Aaron realized that he was walking on soft ground. He and Slata had veered off the path onto a field, and he no longer knew which direction they were walking in. As the wind whistled around them, Slata gave up walking. She dug her hooves into the ground and would not go any further. Aaron was afraid that they would freeze to death. His hands and toes were already numb with the cold. Numb means no feelings. They can't move their hands and toes because of cold. Slata cried plaintively as Aaron prayed to God for both of them. He was very optimistic. He believed in God. He hoped that God would help them. All of a sudden, Aaron sighted a hill in the distance. He wasn't sure what it was made of. But as he walked towards it, he realized it was a large haystack covered in snow. I think all of you are very familiar with the haystack. In Malayalam, Vaikkol Kuna. Suddenly, Aaron realized they were saved because he knew it well. Hay has the power to give warmth. He dug a tunnel into the haystack and made a nest for him and Slata. Aaron bored a kind of a window through the hay and snow and carefully kept the passage clear. Once again, I remind you, he is a village boy. By using the same stick, he made a window in that haystack. Surrounded by hay, Slata began eating contentedly as Aaron made a hole for them to breathe. We can see that Slata became very happy. She started to eat the hay greedily. Now we reached at the page number 43 in your textbook. I think this is enough for today's class. So we can go through the analysis of this story till we complete it. Many children's stories teach moral lessons by writing the negative consequences of immoral behavior directly into the narrative. In contrast, Slatta the god abstains from such direct teaching. Singer was known for this approach. In general, he did not write the intent to moralize. "I'm not a writer with messages," he told interviewer Sandra L. Gilman in 1974. "Instead, I am satisfied if I tell a good story." I think we also don't like to hear advice. Anyway, this does not, however, mean that Singer's work or this text is devoid of values. Instead, it presents characters who live a moral way of life and whose actions are guided by their own strong values. For example, the moral code of the family in the story is strongly apparent. Set in the landscape of Jewish folk life, Aaron's community is dependent on the weather, and since the winter has been a warm one, Aaron's father Reuben has not made enough money from his fur business to be able to provide for his family during the 8-day holiday of Hanukkah. Thus, the premise of the story is this choice faced by Reuben: do without the traditional festivities of Hanukkah or sell the beloved family god Slatta in exchange for the money he needs. Crucially, this is not a religious calculation. Nor does the story mention an obligation to God as a reason to celebrate Hanukkah festival properly. Indeed, Hanukkah is a relatively minor Jewish holiday and does not impose great religious obligation. Without such an obligation, what forces shape Reuben's decision? The story indicates that Reuben required long hesitation to make the decision, but ultimately decided in favor of the proper celebration of the festival, perhaps out of obligation and love towards his family. Reuben's wife Leah, daughters Anna and Miriam, and son Aaron also respond in a way that acknowledges the appropriateness of his decision. They are saddened by the proposed sacrifice of their beloved God, but recognize that proper celebration of the holiday or festival is important for their family. Thus, the story depicts a family that makes difficult choices when necessary in order to prioritize tradition, warmth, and a bountiful home. The story also contains moral complicity in its imagery and symbolism. For example, the road to the town is given great symbolic weight in the story. First, it separates the village from the presumably wealthier and more urban town, and thus represents the promise of economic benefit with 8 gulden offered by the butcher for Slatta. At the same time, the road to the town is paved with sorrow, since it leads to the loss of the beloved family god. In addition, the snowstorm contains similarly dualistic meaning. At first, for example, it is a sign of danger, both the immediate physical threat of freezing temperatures and hazardous conditions, as well as the threat of loss induced by having to sell slatta to the butcher. Yet it soon turns into a moment of opportunity for closeness and affection between Aaron and Slatta, as the storm forces them to seek shelter together. Later, as the story continues, the storm saves both Slatta's life and the family's financial stability. In other words, something to fear becomes something to celebrate. I know you are eagerly waiting for this story, how it will end. We will continue the story in our next class. I think this is enough for today's class. Once again, I remind you, we reached at the page number 43 in your text. I think it's the right time to give questions relating this chapter. So all of you take the notebook and write the answers of these questions. My first question, Hanukkah festival. Second one, why was it a bad year for Reuven, the furrier? Next question, what was the family's response when Reuven asked Aaron to take the god to town? Why did Slatta trust the human beings? Next question, why was Slatta astonished when Aaron led her out on the town road? Next question, when did Aaron realize that he was no longer traveling on the road? Next question, what looked like a snow-clad hill? Next question, why did Aaron realize that the haystack could save them? And the last question, what did Aaron do for breathing inside the haystack? I'm sure all of you can easily find out the answers for these questions. I hope all of you have enjoyed the journey of Aaron and his god Slatta. We will continue the story in our next class. You don't forget to go through the questions. We will discuss the questions in our interaction section. Thank you.